What's going on, everybody? If there's anybody out there talking, I'm not sure. I'm not seeing anybody yet, so it's really a trial run on my channel tonight. But we're basically going to be talking about physical media and movies tonight. And I guess I need to tell you guys the name of the. This is the. I guess I've named it Saturday Night Movie Collectors tonight. I don't know if that's what it'll stick to, but we'll go with that tonight.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to call it cultural collectors. I thought that sounded cooler, but it don't make a lot of sense in terms of just collect. It sounds like you're trying to do you're collecting some other things,
Antiques
other
and
people's
stuff,
cultures.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the Saturday Night Movie Collectors. I might come up with something cooler eventually, and we'll see.
Okay. That's cool.
So what have you been up to this week as far as movies go?
Not too much. Been working on I shot some new episodes, and I've been trying to edit them as quickly as possible. Try to get them ready to go out. I released some new episodes and stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out like a day that I should make the day I release a video, because I know some YouTubers that make, like, say Monday is their release day, and they'll usually each week on Monday they'll have a new release out or something. So, but I'm kind of all over the place sometimes. I have so many I've recorded and I've got edited and I've just got sitting, and I just kind of go through them and try to pick one I want to throw out. And sometimes they're really new, like filmed that week, and sometimes it's from like 4 months ago. So I'm trying to. Sometimes I'll throw out like 3 during a week, which is kind of what I'm doing this week. I think I have one on Monday we'll release. But I'm still trying to, even after a year or so, I'm still trying to find my way still, I'm still trying to find certain things and stuff. So how to do everything. So,
Yeah.
So
It's a learning process. You can learn, like I was telling you the other day, you can learn a lot on YouTube because there's tutorials for everything. That's how I've been figuring out a lot of this OBS stuff I was talking about earlier. I've been going on there and getting tutorials on all that stuff and trying to learn how to put it all together.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't explain it without showing it to you. That's just kind of how I work. I'm more of a shower, not an explainer.
Yeah, I like to be hands-on, like see something and can learn it quicker. But yeah, it's so much stuff out there. Technology is so big right now with different stuff you could use. There's so much variety to pick from, and programs and equipment. And so it's just kind of like, if you're super busy, doing other things, it's kind of like trying to find time to really study some stuff out and see what you could use. But, it seems like I don't get a lot of time to try new stuff, though. So that's why I've been just kind of using the same way. I've been doing stuff for about a year now. I've improved a little bit, though. I've changed my microphone. I used to just shoot right off my phone and would use the mic off of that, and had a lot of dead space air, dead air, like you would pick up stuff a lot. And so I've tried some new mics and stuff. So I'm slowly getting there.
Yeah, your mic always sounds good on your videos. So
yeah, it sounds good now, I believe. But if you look at a video from maybe a year ago, it's kind of like it may vary, from how it sounds and stuff. So
do you use Android or?
Yeah, I use Android.
Or do you have what program do you use to record your video with that allows you to record with an external mic?
Well, I got I just run it all through my phone, which I got a Note 10 Plus, which is pretty cool because it's got a lot of stuff. I put some, it can handle a lot of space, so I'll put up some stuff in there. And I got an external mic I can plug in, and I can't think of the mic right off. I've only had it for about 3 months. I bought it online, but I've noticed you can buy it at Best Buy. So it's one of the two versions of ones they have at Best Buy. I can't think of the brand name though, but I've been pretty satisfied with it. Before that, I used a lapel mic.
Is it Rode or something like that?
No, it's not. It's not that. It's not that nice. It's in the. I didn't know.
It
what
sounds
it would
good,
be.
regardless. It sounds good.
Yeah, it's only like a $60 mic. It's
Now, what I was asking you though is, like your regular. Well, yours might work, but usually your regular video recording, your regular camera program and Android it won't run that microphone. You got to run, like I use Open Camera, and it's a program that allows you to turn on an external mic, but maybe you can run it.
Well, the hookup, I had to have an attachment to it because I use the it's a newer phone, so it's got the C hookup. So I had to plug the microphone into a little adapter, and then the adapter plugs into the phone and stuff to kind of get around that. But yeah, a lot of them, if you plug it right in it's like the program wants to block it. It just wants to block the sound. So you got to use that shortcut there. But yeah, I just do it as basic, try to do as basic as possible and just kind of go from there and improvise a lot with stuff.
Because I use it when I do some of my away from my desk videos, I have a cheap condenser mic that I run. It's not it's probably like a $30 one. It was cheap. I like trying to experiment around with cheap stuff and see what I can get, and it's pretty good. But the problem with open camera is it doesn't have any audio controls, so it's just it just runs the mic wide open, hot as fire, so to speak.
Yeah,
and
real loud.
I can't drive it down like a negative decibel or two, so I had to kind of set it away from me to get it to. It sounds decent for for being a cheap microphone. It's decent enough to get away with what I want to get away with, but it doesn't sound as good as this one. But this is a good mic here. This is one I had back in my recording days. This mic's over 20 years old. I use.
Oh, well. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, mine's just your basic omnidirectional type of. You can go kind of open or kind of just front and stuff. So I think I usually do it just front, the front and stuff though. But yeah, I don't know. I've just kind of do everything guerrilla style, I guess, just simple as possible and bam, 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 and out, kind of stuff like that. Because when you're doing it all yourself, you got to kind of stick to a plan. I don't have a team to work with, and I don't have, complicated mic setups or anything. I just kind of, so I kind of experiment with lighting, with lighting a little bit in the background, so it doesn't look the same in every video. So I try to change it up a little bit. So,
lighting's the one thing I'm not that great at. I just don't think I have the best stuff for lighting. I got a couple of ring lights, and I've got a little small one right here. It's just a little 6-inch. And I've got like an 18-inch one I use for some of my away from the desk stuff when I'm doing like kind of my whatever you call it, kind of my spotlights on my collection stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I just film with my phone. I don't have like a DSLR camera or nothing like that. I just film with my phone. The phone's got an incredible camera on it. I mean, it just doesn't have a big aperture, so it's the color that the way it brings light in's not as good. But other than that, they're pretty darn good,
Oh yeah, that's kind of. I have a DSL.
Excuse me.
I have a nice Canon camera, and in the beginning I was trying to choose between like what looks better and stuff, and it seems like the phone just has the better choice of because I think the camera only goes to 1080p, and it's kind of limited on some stuff. And it seems like with the phone, I can film up to into a 4K round, kind of like a looks real sharp, has a sharper picture. So I just kind of use that. So, but yeah, just trial and error, I guess, you know.
Which right now I use, I've got one of these Logitech Brio. It's just a webcam, but it's kind of independent. I was using that to do my webcam stuff. I had an old GoPro 4, I think. Yeah, it was a GoPro 4, and doesn't really have a broadcast. It doesn't have a live stream feature. Some of the new ones have live stream features, but it didn't. But it still worked. But it has that built-in mic you can't turn off, and it was just so I had to do a lot of go-arounds to get it to work right.
Yeah.
And then you guys have streamed with me before, and like when you get towards the end of the stream, if the battery starts, when you got it plugged in to the power source, if the battery starts going down on it, it tries to start charging and it starts throwing interference in it, and you could see it, so you had to unplug it. So it was just annoying. So I just got rid of it, quit using it.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of problems with that GoPro. I don't know if it was ever right. I've never used it a whole lot for anything, but it's kind of a waste of money. But I just like gadgets, and that's when I was working, and I had the money to buy one, and I bought one. And
well, I got one really cheap, like it was an off-brand of a GoPro, and it was like $50 or something, and it was horrible. The microphone was just absolutely horrible. Like you were saying, it would just any loud, it got to a certain thing and it would just completely bog out and just couldn't hear anything, distort it. So never buy GoPro, just get the real thing. But yeah, I've seen some people's GoPros where it looks really good, but you definitely got to do something with the mic on those, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, well, mine, I bought one of these for it. I bought it for it, and then I don't even use it but it's just like it's like a little shotgun mic for it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It hooks into the side of it, like sorry, everything's backwards.
No, yeah, I know exactly. Yeah,
and it sounded pretty good, but I only used it like once. And the problem with I dropped the case. The problem I had with it was the camera looks like a fisheye. It gives that fisheye look, and I've heard other people complaining about that same thing with GoPros. And the GoPros, you can't zoom. They're so limited. The technology is weird.
Yeah.
Why they designed them for what you see them used for on TV, action sports, sort of.
Action.
So
yeah.
And there's no
tweaking,
thrills or frills on them, they're nothing. So they're just made to take abuse and do like one scene. But on TV, they never seem to break up. Mine always wants to break up. Like I don't know. They're just, it's just not, I don't recommend you buying one. And if you want to have something that's versatile, a versatile camera. Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought about buying one just for other stuff, but I just ended up not doing it because, I mean, you can limit it, or it's unlimited in a way because you can attach it to all kinds of stuff if you're doing stuff outside and everything. But on my camera, on the Canon camera I had a shotgun mic. The shotgun mic, I think it was a Rode, actually. And it sounded really good, but I didn't like the picture on there and stuff because with the picture, I was going to have to light it a different way. And it was to even get a sharper picture. It looked really dull. So I needed to tweak it out a little bit more, but I just ended up using this and it works. I mean, it works for me. So
yeah, you probably got to overlight with all that, with that larger aperture, I guess. I don't know much about it, but But I hear them talking about that, like on older cameras, when they shoot film, they got to like extremely overlight the set for it to come out right.
Yeah.
And that's funny. I've heard them talk about it on other movies, but I heard them talk about that on the Explorers documentary earlier. They were talking. I think Ethan Hawke was when we shot it, it was extremely hot because they had to use tons. You want to hear a story about Ethan Hawke on that? This is my pickup of the week.
Oh, okay. Is that that's a
Shout Factory?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that was coming out on. I thought it was coming out. Gosh, what's that Australian label? I can't think of the name of it. I thought they were releasing that, but that's cool. I might have to check into that because I like that movie.
You can get it on Amazon. I didn't get it till yesterday, but I had it pre-ordered, and then I had some issues with my card. I had to have it replaced a couple weeks ago, and then I had forgot to change my number around on the Amazon, so it got delayed a couple of days. I'm glad I got this I usually don't care about the slip cover, but the slip cover is really awesome with this one, with the Shout. So I'm glad I got it on there.
Yeah.
But
does it got changeable art? Like sometimes you got the flippable art.
I'll have to yes. Yeah, it does. It has the original artwork in there. I had just one of the other disc is in my player right now, but can you see that?
Yeah, I can see the top part of it. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, the original artwork. Yeah.
Yeah. But it comes with the theatrical cut and the TV cut, which I actually seen it in the theater, but I was about 7 years old or whatever it was in 80. I was in 85. Is that right? Yeah, about 7, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that.
I think I was like 8 or 9 then, because I was born in 76. So yeah, I remember all that stuff. 85 was a good year. Back to the Future and all that stuff came out.
It evidently, but it, in that age, I didn't really think nothing about it, but it evidently flopped in the theater because it got released. They said on that documentary that it got released the same weekend as Live Aid, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And it got dwarfed by that. So nobody. Yeah. And it's a kids' sci-fi movie, so.
Well, it was pretty popular on HBO and stuff because they showed that for years on HBO. That's where I first saw it.
Yeah, I remember watching it mostly on VHS. I mean, I loved it because I seen it in the theater. It was like one of those ones early movies I remember seeing. Kind of like Back to the Future and all that stuff. But it's one of them I probably wore out as a kid renting. It's rented 100 times. But
yeah.
But the story I was going to tell about Ethan Hawke was he's talking about. I didn't realize this, but that was his first movie. He hadn't done anything before that. And in fact, he wasn't even a trained actor. I think he came to the audition it was an open casting for the movie. And I think he came to the audition with that kind of classic story of where he auditioning. He was like, and did you lose me there for a second, or did I come back?
It kind of scrambled a little bit, but
okay, it is completely blipped out on me there for a second. But okay, he got picked out of the crowd, and he was just coming natural. They say he was crazy, but he just that's how he got that part.
Yeah, who else is in that? Is it River Phoenix and somebody? Who else? Who's the third guy? Is it Jerry?
No, he's not Jerry.
It's not Jerry O'Connell, is it?
No.
Yeah.
It's Let me see his name here.
Yeah, I always forget the third guy too.
Yeah, he didn't really go on to do anything else. He'd been in something prior they were talking about on. Hang on a sec. It's not on here. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Sometimes you have to really look at that, and you can't. Sometimes I feel like I need glasses sometimes to read the print.
Yeah, I do this on my videos. People must hate it. I use the magnifying glass. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm blind. I've got that. Yeah, obviously, I've got that. I'm not blind. I see pretty good, but just like the small print. That's why I want to get dual monitors so I can have them blown up. I can blow them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Me look it up here, everybody. If there's anybody out there, I haven't seen anybody, so I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody's popped up yet.
Yeah, I don't expect anybody to right now. Let's see here. Let's see what his name was.
I think it's on the tip of
Jason Preston.
Jason Preston.
Yeah, Preston, just Preston, not T. This 2 S's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. Probably know his face, but
the girl that was in it, Amanda Peterson, she's kind of the love interest. She passed away a couple of years ago. They just kind of briefly talk about it, but it's just, she was like one of the I guess she got into drugs or something. She didn't have a very good she's one of the bad stories of child actors.
Yeah, it happens.
What's his name's in it too? I'm bad. I get on the spot and forget people's names, especially people I shouldn't forget. But why is he not on here? But he's like, he was in all kinds of 80s movies. Oh yeah, Dick Miller. He's in all kinds of Gremlins.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff.
Yeah,
he's a helicopter pilot in there.
Yeah, there's a documentary about him. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime. That's pretty good.
But
oh, my light went out.
Yeah, but there's the Blu-ray's got all kinds of special features on it. It's it had like a new documentary, and it's got the deleted scenes with Joe Dante. And see, I forgot Joe Dante even directed this movie. I completely forgot about
Oh wow.
That. When we were talking about that other day, I didn't realize it was Joe Dante. I'd forgot all about that.
Yeah, there's some movies that I just it's weird. Like that's what I do sometimes. I'll find a director and start kind of going back and seeing some of the movies, and it leads to another movie and leads to another movie. Kind of go down a rabbit trail, but it's really cool because you start finding all these movies that you've just, never seen, or just like, why wasn't this movie bigger? It's weird. But, But yeah, there's
But there's deleted scenes with his commentary. They got the deleted scenes, and then they got deleted scenes with Joe Dante's commentary on the deleted scene. Because a bunch of the deleted scenes were just stuff he found in his garage. Because they cut a ton of the movie out, because they basically took it to Paramount, whoever released it, Paramount, I think. Yeah, Paramount.
I think so.
And it was too long, so they've cut a bunch of stuff out of it. More than it was on the DVD. The DVD had deleted scenes on there, but it didn't have this many. This had a whole bunch. It had probably, I bet it was 20 minutes worth of commentary and deleted scenes. And yeah, they cut whole sections out. They cut a bunch of storyline out for some of the character development that ended up not being in there at all, especially like him. There was like basically a whole third chapter at the end that was like kind of almost like a dream sequence of events happening, where they're at the end, where they're kind of talking about, there's the mid-level medias in there. What's up, mid-level media? You doing all right tonight? We don't have a lot in the chat tonight, but this is the first time we're doing this tonight. But
just kind of winging it.
But what was I? Oh, I was talking about we're talking about Explorers tonight. The new Explorers cut.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to come
Yeah.
find that and get that. I didn't realize they were releasing it. That might have been out for a couple years, I think, because that
What's
matinee.
that?
That Explorers, is that brand new or did that come out a
Yeah,
couple
it just
years
came
ago?
out this week. It came out this
Oh,
week.
okay. Because see,
Yeah.
I thought matinee had just come out, but it had come out like 2018, and I was like, oh man, I thought that just came out also. But so, but yeah, Joe Dante's got some great work, man. Like Piranha, I went back and saw Piranha, and I was
Yeah.
like really impressed. Like and like last night, I watched a really good movie. I watched Psycho 2, the second Psycho movie, and I had never seen it, or I had seen the last part of it. But I saw that whole movie and it was great, man. I'll do a review about it in one of the videos, but I just watched it. But it was really good. It was just one of those movies. It's like, why wasn't this more popular? You know, it's just why wasn't this bigger? Because it's really good.
They might. I can't remember seeing the second Psycho. I probably have, but it did. Some of them get kind of more psychedelic into them, kind of a little more crazy
No,
once they go in. It kind of doesn't
uh,
involve the priest. Didn't it? More of the priest kind of revolves around the priest more than or am I
no,
thinking about part 3 or something? One of them.
yeah, yeah. Maybe part
One of
three.
them's different.
I haven't. I don't remember
But
part three
but
at all.
but mid-level media. He asked me if it's worth picking up, and it's definitely worth picking up. It's a beautiful case,
Mm.
and it's a beautiful slip, and it's got a lot of extra features on here. I hadn't watched all the extra features. I was watching them before I came on here, but it's
Yeah.
got well, wherever there you go. Let's see here. It has the home and theatrical release, which I need to go. I watched the home cut because I thought that's the one where they included some of the cut footage, and I'm not sure if
Mm.
it is because he said on there it's cut differently than the theater, and the theater had more stuff, different scenes in there. So I'm going to go back
Mm.
and watch both. I think I'm going to do a review on a Blu-ray review on it at some point. But it let's see, it has new science fiction fairy tale, The Story of Explorers. That's the documentary. New deleted scenes with additional commentary with Joe Dante. New interviews with cinematographer John Hora and editor Tim Hirsch. It's got quite a few things. There's some others,
Well,
but I mean,
it's
yeah,
funny.
it's definitely. I mean, to me, this is like one of my favorite movies. Because what I wanted to talk about Explorers is it's one of those kid adventure movies from the 80s you just don't get
Mm.
anymore. You kind of did some in the 90s with like the Sandlot and things like that, but it
Yeah.
slowly went away because kids' habits have changed. They went more
Yeah.
to video games and
Yeah. They
not
don't.
playing outside. They don't go build
Yeah.
forts and things like we used to,
Mm-mm.
and at least that's what I did here in Kentucky. We built forts and went
Rode
and
your
played
bike and
outside. And yeah.
yeah. They don't do that anymore. But it's funny
Yeah.
you brought up the television print was longer because I remember you showed King Kong off like a week ago or something, and it
Mhm.
has the television print is like longer or something. And then I have
Yeah.
I recently got the Superman. The John Robert what's his name director
Altman.
Robert Donner that
Donner,
made
Richard
the
Donner. Yeah.
Richard
Richard
Donner, yeah,
Donner.
made
Yeah.
the first
Mm.
Superman, and it's got the TV
Yeah.
print on there, and it's like 3 hours and something long because they split it
It's
up over two nights. You know, they made it a special event when they showed it, so it's got all these
is it
scenes that weren't in the.
is that the first one or the second?
It's
Two.
it's the first one, I believe, or
Is it the
it was
first? Okay.
or
Yeah.
was it the second?
Because two,
Yeah,
because two, there's
yeah.
his
There's a
version and then there's the studio version, and
Yeah, there's that too.
that's the
Yeah.
studio version's crap and his version's supposed to be it's pretty good.
Mm, yeah, it's pretty
But
cool. Yeah. But yeah, they're doing that more and more, putting like the TV cuts on there and stuff, which are different.
see Zombie Collector, he's in the chat, but hopefully he'll join us here in a few minutes.
Yeah, he's on the DL.
Yeah, he's Legends too, but he just needs to come on in eventually.
Yeah.
But let's see. What did you get this week? If you say.
Yeah, this week, what did I pick up? I got actually got a couple of Sylvester Stallone box sets. I got a Rambo box set and I got a Rocky box set, which I had a bunch of missing ones. Like I had Rocky and like Rocky something else. So I just wanted to upgrade and have them just all on Blu-ray and stuff instead of having one DVD here and a Blu-ray here and just all mismatched and stuff. So it goes up. It goes from Rocky 1 to Rocky Balboa and stuff. And so I've never watched Rocky Balboa, so it's going to be interesting to kind of watch those over. And
Yeah,
I really like the newer Rambo movies that came out were pretty interesting. Like he's still got it, after all these years and stuff. He's in his 70s or something. He's still pretty fit, and so I got that.
I like Last Blood. I like Last Blood quite a bit.
Yeah.
Did you've seen it? Yeah, Last Blood. The one before that. The last one before they were there in Miramar. He's supposed to be in Miramar. What's Miramar formerly? I usually forget.
It's like around Vietnam, somewhere around in Vietnam or somewhere.
Well, I always forget Miramar and remember what it used to be called. It's one of those countries that changed names in the last 20 or 30 years. That was crazy. Some of that scenes where he's blowing up all that stuff, and he sets off that big bomb, and he goes ape shit with 50 cal and just starts blowing. I mean, it's just I like that movie. That's one of the first Rambo movies I've seen on Blu-ray. It's one of the first movies I bought on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah, it's really good. That scene's really good. Where I mean, every once in a while, you just got to see some people get mowed down with a gun like that. I mean, I don't know. It just goes back to spaghetti westerns and some of the stuff from the Wild Bunch and stuff like that, where it's so over the top and unbelievable, but it's so much fun, and seeing the bad guys get so it's pretty cool.
I need to wash my mouth on here. I don't, as people might have their kids around or something. I don't care, but some people do on here. So.
Oh yeah. And
kids, so I don't like to. I don't watch my mouth too much like that because I don't have kids.
Well, even the Creed movies I haven't watched with Sylvester Stallone. It was Creed and Creed 2 or something. I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
So I've heard they're good, but So I mean, a lot of times I focus on getting older stuff, different things, and kind of wait on the newer, because the newer stuff seems to show up on Netflix and stuff like that. So you kind of catch the newer stuff. But
I like to do. You should enjoy the Rocky Balboa. They're good. I won't go into them any since you haven't watched them yet. And Creed, same way. They're pretty enjoyable. So
so I kind of got those because a few years ago I got the James Bond set where I finally got all the James Bond all on Blu-ray in one place, because I've really had a mixture. I had like DVDs, Blu-rays, and laser discs of the whole series and stuff. So it was just all totally mismatched.
It's like Zombie Collector's with us.
Yep. What's up, gentlemen?
Not much.
What's up?
Not much, man. I'm trying to cool down after the hot sun all day today.
Baseball on it?
What was that?
You baseball on it?
Yeah, baseball, man, all day. 5-6 hours at the ballpark. So
you got some sun.
Yeah. I have a shirt that's cut off, but I don't want to show my guns. But it shows you how lily white I am, but my face is like a baboon or something's butt. So it was awful.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. That's what happens when you're lily white Irish skin. It just burns. But yeah, I heard you all talking about Stallone and Creed and all that, right?
A couple people, we have all froze.
What now? You're froze.
You're frozen a little bit.
There you are. I see you're moving a little bit now. There's some life in you. There you are.
Did I go away?
Come back. You're back. Okay.
Did I go away?
Oh, you froze again. Yo, we see you froze. Oh, there you're moving again. There you are.
Okay.
I'm just causing all kinds of trouble. So. I just got here. I'm causing all kinds of trouble. Yeah, so talking about some Stallone movies, I hear. Is that what the Tom? And I heard you mention James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond. I was talking about. I got some of these franchises that I had mismatch media, like a DVD, a Blu-ray, a Laserdisc. So I just got like all the Rambos on Blu-ray. I got all the Rockies on Blu-ray and stuff like that. And then I did the same thing with James Bond about a year ago. So, but you know, those movies you can always watch. You know, you always come back to them eventually.
I have that Bond 50 Blu-ray set that came out several years ago. Yeah.
Well, this one is the one that was in the white case. I don't think it's 50. I don't think it's Bond 50. So
as long as it's got all the old ones, it's important stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I like the Daniel Craig stuff's good too, but I don't have all the Daniel Craig in that set. They only went up to, I can't even remember which one it cuts off at. It's like his second movie, I believe, is where the Bond 50 came into when they released it. So.
Well, this set goes up to the last one, whatever the last one was.
Oh, was it? So that's a more thorough set than I've got. Yeah, that's probably the newer set.
Yeah, it's got Spectre and all those on there. But yeah, I like him as a James Bond. I think he's pretty cool.
What's the one before Spectre?
Oh, there's Casino Royale.
Quantum of Solace or something?
No.
Quantum of
Solace. Yeah, that's the one where my set cuts off at it. They left spaces for Quantum of Solace in there. They left an extra blank spot for it, but it doesn't have its own dedicated page. And that's it. I didn't like Quantum of Solace. It's the least favorite Daniel Craig. I like Casino Royale, and then I like Spectre and the last one. But they're going to mess that franchise up too here soon because of certain things. I'd rather not.
I don't know what they're doing or thinking or whatever. But I don't know. My dad's like hardcore Bond, and I grew up watching James Bond my whole life, so it's like it's in my blood. So I don't know. I grew up with the Roger Moore movies and stuff. You know, Roger Moore, and so he's kind of the. I mean, I love Sean Connery, but I really grew up with Roger Moore and stuff, and kind of, went from there. But
So since we're on James Bond, I feel like it's obligatory. We have to ask two questions. One, who's your favorite Bond? And two, which is your favorite movie?
Oh God, that's hard, man. Well, if I had to say one, I think it's what is it? Came out in like 70. What is it? It's after Live and Let Die. I think it's The Spy. The Spy Who Loved Me, or The Spy Who Loved Me, something like that. It's the one with
Roger Moore
with the was it the Lotus that goes underwater? The white. I think it's that one. I really like that one, and I think Roger Moore, man. I just have to come back to. I guess Roger Moore. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
That's a hard question to ask.
Yeah, it's.
I know. There's so many options.
The very first one's good. Goldfinger and Goldfinger's the first, and I always forget.
No, Dr. No.
Goldfinger.
Doctor No.
I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't thought about it. I think
it's the first one. Dr. No from Russia with Love.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. No's first. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
maybe Goldfinger I think it's like the third movie, second or third.
That's like the third or fourth.
Yeah,
I think it's the third. Maybe it's the third one. I'm a bad Bond fan, I guess.
Well, yeah, I am too. Well, it's just so many movies to keep up with and to remember everything that goes on because there's so many, especially through the 60s and 70s, that kind of run together. You can't think of what villains and which and what gadgets are in what movie, and so especially with all the what's his name in them?
Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton. I kind of missed out on those for some reason. I don't know. I didn't really.
I never thought. I thought he was the weakest Bond in my opinion.
Yeah, those are my least.
Even more than Richard Lasbury or whatever.
Yeah, he did that one. Yeah, he's pretty good in that movie though, but it's I don't know. He would have been good, I think, if he would have done more. But I don't know.
Yeah.
So, am I still freezing up on you guys?
It was, but it's back. It looks like.
Yeah. It's probably on my end. I don't have the best internet. That's the worst thing about me. I didn't refresh it before I went on, so I don't know. Other people are probably trying to use the internet in my house, and I don't have good internet. So
you just need, whenever you go live, you just need to go through everybody in your house and cut their wires.
Yeah.
And then there's like, hey, a couple hours, you're all just going to end up having to read the newspaper, play Parcheesi or something, and don't get on the internet.
Yeah. No Wi-Fi use.
Here, I'll show you my next movie. Oh, by the way, if Mid-Level Media is still out there, the transfer, and everybody here, the transfer was excellent on Explorers. Did you see any of the broadcasts before you jumped on?
Maybe like 5 minutes, and you were right at the tail end of talking about the Explorers.
Yeah.
And then it jumped into what we talked about. That's a great movie.
It's a excellent transfer.
Yeah, I'm going to pick that one up.
This is another one that had who released it? Shout Factory. Yeah. But this is another one that there's another 90s movie that had a good, that's an 80s movie. This is a 90s movie that had a good transfer.
The Roxbury. Not the Roxbury.
That came out this week. Or I think it's came out this week.
Chris Kattan was just here in Indiana. He had a five nights in Indiana, Central Indiana, doing shows, and he did a meet and greet with all the fans before, after the show, and he looked pretty rough, to say the least. He looked pretty rough. I was surprised.
Huh?
That's to me, it's one of the better of the SNL movies. I didn't realize, and I'd forgot about it because when you watch it, you're like, man, some of these people, they're in Clueless. There's a lot of the cast that were in Clueless. Well, Amy Heckerling was the producer of that movie. She didn't direct it; she produced it, and she directed obviously Clueless and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like that, So, and so she had a lot to do with it, and it's funny. It's actually a decent SNL movie, especially one that came from kind of a nothing skit. But it's got some, I don't think it has any different features on it other than that was on the DVD. It looked like old features that was on there. They were still full frame features from TV spots. So.
I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of Zoolander. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell movie.
I love Zoolander.
Oh yeah,
that's quotable.
Man, dude, every time I'm at a gas station, I just think about the Zoolander scene. Like every time when they're playing like whatever the Wham song or whatever, they're just like doing the gasoline, and they're just like
throwing gas everywhere.
Go.
I can't stop. I was thinking about that literally today. I was literally thinking about that today. I stopped to get gas with my son and his mom on the way to baseball. And I remember thinking, like, here we go. Like, I'm going to look over. There's going to be a whole Jeep full of fashion models just spray each other with gasoline.
Yeah.
So, it definitely has that ingrained in my mind. But Yeah, I mean, I love Zoolander.
I always think of Jerry
What is it? Blue Steel?
The Blue Steel look, yeah.
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 I love it.
I was thinking
just,
you can't hang a Louis.
It's such a wacky movie, man.
I mean, I love movies that are so ridiculous, like so over the top.
Yeah. It takes it.
Yeah, that is good one.
They kind of age well sometimes because you kind of come back to it and stuff. I just wonder what Ben Stiller, what he's been up to. Like you used to see him like all the time, and now you just don't. Some of those actors that just don't do anything anymore.
I mean, I feel like Ben Stiller kind of took a page out of the whole Johnny Depp thing. He got himself a franchise, like Johnny Depp did. He got himself the Night at the Museum franchise, like Depp did with Captain
Pirates.
Jack or whatever. Yeah. And then like he did 3 or 4 of those movies, and they were like big blockbuster, just stuffing the coffers full of money. And he was kind of like, well, I'm just gonna do this every 2 or 3 years until that ship sails, so to speak.
Yeah.
So because I would love to see him work with Wes Anderson again. I thought he was great with Wes Anderson. I'd love to see him do something else.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, he was good in that. But yeah, the Meet the Parents was really good. I need to get that on DVD or Blu-ray or something.
Which one?
Oh, the Meet the Parents, the first Meet the Parents. It's got a lot of funny scenes.
I don't own any of those on any format. Are they pretty good? Are they funny?
Yeah, I think the first one's the best one.
I don't know if I've watched them or not, but
I just like Robert De Niro also in it. He's really just funny.
Mr. Jinx.
Yeah. The cat.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I've seen the first one or not. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, Ben Stiller is one of those actors who, I don't know if you all remember the mid 90s, like 93 to 94 or 5. He did the Ben Stiller show with Janine Garofalo and Andy Dixon there, and the dude from Breaking Bad, and My Name is Saul or whatever, or Call Saul, whatever. Yeah. I can't remember his name, but the main guy.
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk. Right. Yeah. And I picked up at a pawn shop, sealed, the Ben Stiller show, the whole 2 seasons or whatever.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And I love it. It was like during that time, the Ben Stiller show came out around the same time The State was doing on MTV, which I love The State back in the 90s. And I was just like, this is like a 90s time capsule. And if you watched the Ben Stiller show back then, you would not think he's going to be the same guy he turned out to be. Like this, and I always feel like he has such, and he always does a comedic role. I feel like I don't think I've ever really seen him in too much of a serious role, but I would love to see him play a serious role. Like serious as a heart attack, like no comedic, no comedy. Is there a role out there that you see him in?
Yeah. There's one. He plays a heroin addict, and it's called something midnight, like past midnight or something to do with midnight. Google that. He's really good in that.
Okay. I remember the DVD or the VHS. It's like his face or something, like half of his head on the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, and it's on past midnight or whatever. It's like just his face like this put up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's something to do with midnight, but yeah, it's one of those underrated movies that should have been bigger, I think.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, I'm always a big fan of movies like that. I just, kind of like when I first saw Robin Williams, like in Insomnia, I think, is that what it was?
What's one of them?
Insomnia, and then like in a 24-hour photo, and I was like, wow, okay, this is not Mork. This isn't like Flubber. This is like serious. So.
Yeah. Well, like in the 90s, he started doing all these I don't have anything against family-oriented films, but he went from being this raunchy comedian to being like just kind of like what Eddie Murphy did and stuff. And then like all of a sudden he just did those 2 crazy movies, man. It was just like, it was a shock that he was that good,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think people sometimes forget, like you said, he came from a pretty blue background. His stand-up comedy pretty out there. Like you said, Eddie Murphy. You know,
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy did that for years, and then all of a sudden he did like some real PG movies and cartoons, and real Robin Williams was in the same boat. But have you all seen My Name is Dolomite with Eddie Murphy?
I'm still it's on my list, man, to watch. I just have not got to watch it yet.
Was any good, John? What do you think?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah,
I might try to watch it tonight.
It's weird. Some of these people like that to do that. They get they start having a family and then they just completely clean their act up.
Sure.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And the people who that were like their inspiration, like Richard Pryor or something like that, for like Eddie Murphy and stuff. Richard Pryor, he would have never cleaned himself. He never cleaned up for anybody. He would have been raunchy till he was raunchy till the day he died. Literally,
Yeah, he just got sick and stuff, but he.
Yeah, who was the oh shoot, what's the one everybody talks about, the bald-headed guy?
George Carlin.
George Carlin. I mean, he was the same way till the very end. He never compromised.
Never
right. So he would have survived 5 minutes in 2021.
No, he would have.
I always wondered what they
would have canceled him.
Yeah. What his opinion would be, or people like Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks is another amazing comedian. Have you ever listened to Bill Hicks?
Bill Hicks, yeah, he's
sounds familiar, but no.
Yeah, he's really funny.
He didn't really get famous until after he died. He died in like 94, I believe, or 94 or 5 of cancer, and then all his stuff started getting released onto CDs. That's how I found him. I didn't find him until probably like 97 or 8 on CD, just going through some comedy CDs at a store, and I found it, and then I started buying his stuff, and he's just amazing.
Yeah, he's great. But yeah, like you were talking about, like 93, 94 with like Ben Stiller, like it was just all this real good comedy. Like that's when SNL was really good, with they had Adam Sandler and everybody, and they just had that. You know what I mean? They had all those great casts, and it was just a good time for comedy.
I mean, if you think about it, you had Saturday Night Live that was firing like back in the 70s level of top tier comedians. You had like stuff like The State we talked about. We have the Ben Stiller Show. You have Mad TV. You had In Living Color. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on at that time. And I'm sure I'm leaving out some stuff too that probably was on SCTV. There was on whatever. So I mean, you have Kids in the Hall. So I mean, there was all kinds of stuff going on during that time. And I would venture to say like 90% of it would never get played now on in any format, because you couldn't do it.
People
you guys see where?
I don't know. I think people have forgotten to laugh at themselves a little bit and just not take themselves so serious, and just life can be a little lighter. You don't have to, everything be so.
Did you guys see where Kids in the Hall are reuniting for, I think, like an 8-episode stint on either Netflix or one of the streaming channels? But they're doing just like
I never did see that. No.
They're going to do like 8 new episodes.
Wow. I have zero expectations, because I used to follow some of them like separately, and let's just say, not to get on down to a rabbit hole, but I think some of them have lost the edge. So I will be surprised if it'd be like Saturday Night Live now. Like, it's just not funny. No one's willing to take any risks anymore. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I would love for them to come out swinging. But
I know Dave Foley. He's supposedly he's like a big UFO nut, like just went way down the rabbit hole of UFO conspiracy. Supposedly, I don't know if that's Joe Rogan was talking about that. He talked to me something like that. I think it was Rogan talking about him. Yeah,
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he'll have plenty to talk about considering they're real now, supposedly.
Yeah.
The Kids in the Hall was originally on HBO when it came on, and they could get away with some stuff because back then, they could get away with a little bit more on cable, paid cable. But like even now, I don't think that would happen. Like even if maybe 10 years ago when you had like Dave Chappelle was doing some really funny stuff, and then he just disappeared. I don't even think he would be that. I don't know how he would do now.
If you all saw like 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, he did that one stand-up comedy show on Netflix that killed, and like he was kind of like, I'm gonna be back to the way I used to be, and he talked about the whole Juicy Smollett or whatever, Juicy Smollett, that whole skit, and he had a whole bunch of stuff he was talking about, and he got a lot of blowback, but he kind of stuck to his guns, which was surprising. But he did. But then the very following one, I think he kind of wanted to show everybody, hey, I'll be safe too. I want to do a safe one that's not going to be so fun. So then he went in and did what everybody else was doing, like at late night television, and
does he got a newer one?
And all the Jimmy Kimmels and all those guys and stuff.
Yeah.
So he did another 2-hour episode where it was like that. So I kind of was like, which Stephen Chappelle are we getting nowadays? The one that's more of a risk taker or the safe one?
Yeah.
Has he done a newer one since the Juicy Small, that one?
Yeah. That's the one I'm talking about. He did one that was like,
I haven't even watched that. I kind of quit watching Netflix a while back. I just got tired of their crap, especially after what they put that movie with the kids on there, the cuties, after they did all that stuff, and it's just I just lost faith in them,
Yeah, I think they were
even though I like the Trailer Park Boys and stuff like that, but they haven't put anything new out in a while. So,
yeah.
Do you all know this is a show out of Canada? It's a like a sitcom, and they're really inappropriate. It's like a small town in Canada. I can't remember what it's called, but they're like it's almost like it's like a country fried version of an American like comedy. I can't remember, but it's like two guys and a girl basically, and they're like hanging out. And they just like it's really, really inappropriate. I was surprised that it was on TV on Netflix, and it was like I gotta find it. I can't remember.
Tell me what it is. It sounds interesting.
It's really good. I was surprised, and I was surprised it came from Canada of all places, quite frankly. So, anyways, but I'll look into it and get back with you all. But
Canadians, they, were known for producing incredibly funny people. Jim Carrey. A lot of people came from Canada. Hilarious.
Yeah. A lot of SNL.
But they're most people don't know in Canada they don't have a freedom of speech there. They don't have a First Amendment there. Right. Technically. It works differently, at least. They don't necessarily, but they got this crazy stuff going on right now in those.
That's why they all come to America.
People getting put in jail for just saying stuff, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you all this. What is a movie that you all have that actually is if you all think about this, or can you think of something? Because it's a movie I have in my collection. I was going to show you all today. It's a movie that was actually a remake. Most people don't know it's a remake. So do you all have a movie in your collection that it's a remake? Like kind of like John Carpenter's The Thing. A lot of people don't know that's a remake, right? So I have a movie that's in that same vein that most people, and it kind of goes with our theme that we kind of talk about 90s and stuff. But I have a movie right now that I really like, and it's probably my favorite 90s, one of my favorite 90s movies, and it is Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, yeah. That's a great movie.
That's a remake from a movie that came out like I think the 50s, maybe early 60s.
Well, there was one in the 30s, in the 1930s. Yeah.
So I really like this movie. I don't know what you all think about it, but it's the first time I was ever introduced to Daniel Day-Lewis, and absolutely amazing movie. But I didn't know if you all have something in your collection that you are big fans of that people might not realize it's a remake or comes from another, you know, there's maybe a reimagining, and that's like a cool word. But I thought I don't think a lot of people don't realize this is one. And I really like this movie.
Oh God, that's a hard one.
I always get put on the spot, and I forget because there was something good I was thinking about that other day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's one that people don't
turn the light
know.
back.
Crap. I think I've went. If you can.
What's going on? I think you're cutting out, John. You cut out and froze.
Oh. Gosh, I can't think of one. I mean, I like the 310 to Yuma remake, and I don't know if people knew that it was a remake, but it was a good modern day Western. But
yeah, I agree. 310 to Yuma is a fantastic movie. You're 100% correct. Are you back, John? Back in black? Or back in frozen?
Back in frozen. It is kind of cold outside though.
At least you're not stuck with your mouth like open or anything like that. We could like insert like a big hot dog right there. You know, so
yeah. It's like when I master a video, you know, and it like YouTube finishes it, and sometimes it's like, you know, and like freezes your face and something.
Well, as it goes, and sometimes it's funny because I'll do those I'll do my videos like my just normal videos, right? And then I don't ever try to take specify a screenshot to put it as my thumbnail. I just let the normal upload just pick an image or whatever. And sometimes images, I mean, like close my eyes or I'm like, and all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, I don't care, just whatever. But some people are like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Like what? So whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back, John.
What I was going to say earlier. Sorry, I missed there for a couple minutes.
You should be so
one
sorry.
movie that probably, especially here recently, what people probably haven't realized, but that movie Lady Gaga was in just a couple years ago. It was big.
Star is Born.
Yeah, Star is Born.
Yeah, Star is Born. That movie's been remade. That's the fourth time that movie's been remade.
Yeah,
or the third or fourth time. It's been remade. It was made like in the 30s and the 40s, and then there's one like the 50s. Yeah, it's been
and
remade
the
70s.
Yeah.
I haven't checked it out. Judy Garland. The Judy Garland's pretty good. That the rich, like the second, I think that's the second one. I think there was like a silent one, or there was one before that. Like I think there was one before the Judy Garland.
I think there was a couple versions. That one was in the 50s, and I think there was a couple versions in the 30s or something like that. They were different. They were different names. One was A Star Is Born or something, and something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't even checked out. I've only seen the 1950 version, the one you're talking about. I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna have to. I'm not
a Lady Gaga
if I come back up, I'm gonna.
What was that, John?
If I reset my internet, will it drop the broadcast where I'm the one doing the broadcasting?
No, it'll be. We'll stay live.
Okay. Well, let me reset my internet. Let me reset it and come back in, and we'll see if I can get this working a little bit better, because I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike and I'll sit here and we'll
right
badmouth you, so you're not here to defend yourself.
Yeah, we're badmouthing. No, I mean my Wi-Fi, man, it comes and goes too. I mean, I have Spectrum for my Wi-Fi, and they just, I don't know, man. They're just constant. They're constantly having outages, and then you constantly got to do this and that. And it's a real pain. So,
right, yeah.
It's kind of like
I'm real fortunate. I mean, I get to use what is it, Xfinity or whatever it's called now, Comcast. So I'm pretty fortunate. But like other parts of the area, like it's weird. Like the town I live in is like an actual town, but a lot of the like farmland and countryside. they have to use Spectrum or whatever, and it's just like a nightmare. So I got real lucky because I live in the city limits. So we get Xfinity, but I do know that people have that problem. Just a couple miles in another direction, it's a completely different experience. So and I work from home, so if I had crappy service, I would be in trouble because I couldn't do my job. So it's good that I'm able to work. I'm able to do that. So it is what it is. But I was going to ask you. What, since you and I are around the exact same age, I thought I'd ask you, and we can like talk about this maybe until John gets back, and then we can ask him. But what is an '80s franchise you grew up with that is probably your favorite franchise? So like most nostalgia, maybe one you revisit a few times a year, or a couple of times every year or two. But I mean, because there were so many great series that came out, I mean, that we can spend all day just talking about all kinds of franchises that came out. But is there one that holds a special place in your mind or heart that you just love going back to?
Yeah, there's different ones, but probably from the '80s, I guess Back to the Future. I mean, maybe Back to the Future, Indiana Jones kind of crossed over later. Well, I guess Indiana Jones, they did 3 movies in the '80s. Yeah, 81, 84, and 89. So I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of one of those, probably. I know they show Back to the Future a lot. And part two I kind of like, but I like part 3 and 1 better in the trilogy, but I don't know. So I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, I feel like I would say the same thing, actually. I think probably Back to the Future is like at the top. And then I'd probably say after that it would be Indiana Jones, but I also like Gremlins. I thought of Gremlins. I love Gremlins. It came out like 84, then like 88 or 87. I don't know exactly, but it was like right,
Yeah.
I think that had a whole lot. I love that a lot. I feel like that was a big part of my childhood. Was watching Gremlins and loving. I remember going see it in the theater. Part 2, part 1. I was probably a little too. My parents wouldn't take me to go see that movie, I'm sure, when I would have been like 6 or 7. But by '89, I'm like 10 or 11, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I love that one. Wasn't really high up there, but yeah. I mean, I feel like that's probably the best. I mean, Rocky was up there. It had a huge franchise. I love the Rocky movies because it started out before I was born, or the year I was born, and then there was like every 2 or 3 years. Basically, there was a Rocky movie up till like 1990, I think. Even I mean, like right there.
Yeah. And
then he did. I think they did a few more. And I guess 90 was the last one. Rocky 5 was the last one for a while. So I mean, like and again for me, it's like a lot of nostalgia, like I mentioned initially, because I remember watching them in either the theater and then watching it with my dad and my brother sitting and watching it, and like it was just like, and I remember Hulk Hogan showing up in part 3 and Mr. T, and us being wrestling fans. There was this crossover with those two guys, and so there was a lot of this. There was a lot of like, oh my gosh! And I remember my dad would be like Thunder Lips because that's what he went by in there, and so there was a lot of like crossover for me there. So what about you, John? We were talking about what's an '80s franchise that holds the most like prominent place in your mind or your heart, that nostalgia, even though it might not be the best one, just something that just brings you back to your childhood.
Well, as far as franchises, it
has to be like more than
Back to the Future. Yeah, Back to the Future. I mean, I know it's a cheap and easy one, but I watched that. I wore that movie out.
It's just very defining. I remember when it came out. It was just one of those movies. It's a very comfortable movie to go back to. It just kind of says 8 years old, 9 years old.
Yeah.
So.
And Star Wars and stuff, of course. Star Wars but I mean, technically, I wasn't even born with the first one, so technically it don't really count. I guess the second two, but I probably wasn't when I came into the age of where I could really start remembering stuff and start enjoying stuff. Would probably be around Back to the Future. 85 in that time period, 6, 7 years old. Because I can't really remember. Probably didn't go to the theater a lot before then. I don't know, because back in those days, my dad worked third shift a lot, and he was starting a new business. So I don't know if we went out a whole lot. I just don't remember it. Well, I'm sure we did sometimes, but I don't really recall it. So anything before then, like seeing Explorers, I do remember seeing that. But
yeah, well, in the 80s also you had the advent of HBO and stuff was big, and a lot of times people would, you know, if they weren't going to movies, they were definitely watching HBO or renting something, or, you know, it was all these choices now, finally, you know.
Yeah, I remember MTV. This modern generation, they don't even understand what MTV was all about. They just see what's on there now, and they may like what's on there now, but they don't realize it was actually music played on there and videos played on there. And the shows and stuff were fun back in the day. You know, you remember like what was the one of the first game shows on MTV that was where they were sitting on the couches. What was the name?
Oh, that was Remote Control. That was called Remote
Control. Remote Control. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. I always watched that.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is when they did have shows, they were on late at night. It was like Yo MTV Raps, and it was Headbangers Ball and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it was a lot different, you know, and they would have the different musicians and artists and bands come on, but they would play videos throughout the talk shows or the kind of like, you know, they were using them as bumpers between like the different, you know, programming. And then, you know, they'd have like the MTV News, you know, like throughout the day, you know, and stuff like that. We're like talking about what's going on in the world or in the world of music and stuff. And then all of a sudden it turned into like, as soon as they started introducing stuff like the real world and all that stuff is when like it just started taking over, where everything went that direction. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, we can all, I have a Roku now, and I have my Roku has like tons of like 80s and 90s like video channels. So if I just want to click on it and go like to 80s videos, boom, nonstop. It's like MTV all over again. And it's just like one after the other after the other. I can do that with 90s videos. And I was like,
have you ever went this?
For no other reason, this Roku works for that purpose.
Yeah.
Have you ever went to
Roku?
Have
you ever went to Shout's Roku page?
I didn't even know Shout had a Roku page.
It's Shout's Roku page is nothing but MST3K just on loop.
Oh,
they just run episode
after
episode.
Yes, I do watch it. Yes, I do have that. Then
yeah, they do have a few movies on there. The Shout one, and they have those. Yeah, for free. You know, without upgrading or anything. But
so I feel like this is a rite of passage, especially. I mean, I know, Mike, you're a dad, and I think, John, you said you don't have kids, but I think we all can relate to this. I don't know how you were as a father, but I think nowadays people are a lot more protective of what their kids watch. But we all know growing up in the 80s, our parents probably was a little bit more liberal with what they let you watch on TV or what movies they let you watch or whatever. And maybe I'm wrong, but in my household, my dad was kind of like, whatever's fine. So I like to ask this question to people because I think it's interesting. What's the very first movie on TV or you rented or bought or whatever as a kid or however old you were that you watched, and when you started watching it, you were like, what the hell am I watching? Like, it either scared you or freaked you out. You're like, what is this? Like something that really stuck in your mind and burned a hole in your mind, and you're like, I probably shouldn't be watching this, but I can't stop
it. Gosh, I don't know. That's
I remember something.
I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you mine. While you're all
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I know, but you can go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Well, then go ahead, John. What was yours?
When I wasn't, my parents, I guess my mom let me rent it, but I think they knew it had a scene in there. But you remember that movie Teachers? It was a 80s movie called Teachers, and it has a scene where I'll have to look it up and see who directed it, but I can't remember who was in the cast now. But there's a scene where the female teacher, she like flips out and starts like stripping naked and going down the hallway at school. She like flips out, and I guess my mom knew it was in there, but so she had to come and like fast forward through it to that scene. But I always remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think I would say the first Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street, the part where Johnny Depp lays on his waterbed and Freddy Krueger comes out of it. I don't know. It just, I guess it didn't like melt my brain, but I mean, it was just creepy because we had a waterbed back then, and it didn't scare me, but it was just like, man, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It kind of stuck with you for a while, you know, as a kid. But
yeah, that's a good one too. And for me, go ahead, John.
No, yeah, I looked it up here. I couldn't. I don't know why I don't remember the cast. It's got a tremendous cast in it.
I think Nick Nolte's in it.
Yeah, he's in it, but it's got Ralph Macchio's in it, Joe Beth Williams, Nick Nolte, Judd Hirsch is in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a Lee Grant.
I remember
Crispin Glover's in it.
Wow, dude,
I'm gonna have to try to find that on Blu-ray, see if it's on Blu-ray, because I definitely need to watch it, because it was one of those kids I watched as a kid, but I have never revisited. So
does the VHS have like an apple on the front cover or something? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was like an apple, like it had a fuse or something. Like the stem was a fuse or something. Yeah, it was something like that.
I do remember the cover.
I don't know if that'll translate any.
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny how some of those things stick with you, you know.
Yeah.
You remember it.
Well, when I was a kid, like I'll kind of follow up two things. One, on a video I'd never seen as a kid, my dad wouldn't let me get it, obviously based on the title, which I'll tell you. But it was an image that always stuck with me. It was like one of the big boxes, you know, that they had back in the day, and it was John Carradine and Vampire Hookers. And I remember that cover was this like old man John Carradine with like little things sticking out, and a girl with like a 90 on. You could see her breast sticking out of it, but it was like this 90 on. And I remember I always wanted to rent it, and my dad was like, "Absolutely not, Jason. Like your mother will kill me if you buy that movie or rent that movie." But that box never like escaped my mind. I was always like, "Oh, what is that?" But as far as the movie that messed me up was in 1985, my dad would buy his VHS all the time for us in 85. So in 1985, I asked for a bunch of VHS for Christmas, and I got like 5 of them. And one of the ones I asked for was Fright Night, and I got it on Christmas morning. And that night, I go home, I go into my bedroom and put it in my TV, my VCR, and I put it on. And I was scared so bad because the scene with what's her name? I forgot the main girl's name.
She was all Married with Children, wasn't she?
Right. Well, her name really was Amanda Bierce, but what did she go by in the movie? I can't remember her what she was. But anyway, so whatever character she was playing, I can't remember the name all of a sudden. If you all seen the movie, when she completely vamps out in the basement or whatever, and she has like, I mean, her whole face is like this huge vampire full of mouth, red eyes. And her name's Amy. So when Amy has like red eyes and bright red hair, her mouth is like looks like some kind of like this creature from some kind of comic book. I was so scared at like 7 years old. I mean, my mind literally was like this. Like I don't know what I was, and that was after the nudity. That was after all the other like, you know, Evil Ed turned into a werewolf and all this stuff, and then like a vampire getting the cross stuck on his head and everything. All that stuff scared me out of my mind. But when Amy turns into a full-on vampire, like it lunges towards, you know, was it Charlie Brewster? I was like, I mean, that image was me. I mean, still to this day, I'm 42 years old. Once in a while, I'll have this image just pop out of there and like scare me, and I'm like, oh, you know, and I was like, so that was my moment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a few moments like that too. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in the 80s, like you would see. I mean, my parents were cool. I guess it's like if I heard something I shouldn't be saying, but as long as I didn't go around repeating it or make a big deal about it or anything, then they were cool like that. But like when it got to like nudity, it was kind of like, nah, they're not going to go that far, you know. But
same,
yeah.
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 That's
Yeah,
cool.
I remember I grew up around drag racing, thing like that. My family drag race, my dad and stuff like that. And I remember when I was in middle school, we went out of town drag racing somewhere. It was on spring break, but that's the same weekend White Men Can't Jump came out, and we weren't able to race. We got up there and we had some kind of trouble with the brakes or something on the car. We couldn't get the brakes. We couldn't get the right part to fix the brake caliber on the brake. Well, the brake master cylinder on the car, and so we ended up not being on the race. So that night, me and my dad and one of the guys that used to help us out, we went and watched White Men Can't Jump. And I remember there's a scene in it where I think it might be where Marissa Tomei's. It's not Marissa Tomei. Excuse me. What's her name?
Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez. I think
yeah.
there's a scene where she's naked in it. And I remember him, and I was probably 13 years old at the time. I remember my dad like acting like he was going to like cover my eyes. Like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah. Don't be blocking me, Dad. What's wrong? Get your hand down. Get your hand down.
Well, I was like 13. You know, it was like I've never seen that before. By that point in time.
Yeah, that's funny though. It was just a different time, you know. It was just I don't know. It's different.
Well, let me ask you all this. I would think, and this doesn't have anything to do with you being a kid. You could be an adult. You could have been yesterday. Have you ever went to the theater and you either your own will or because somebody you were with, or maybe begrudgingly, have you ever left in the middle of a movie?
I don't think I've ever
recently
left during the movie.
Recently, and recently, back when we could go to the movies, still probably it's been 2 years now, but I left in the middle of that new Sherlock Holmes movie that Will Ferrell did. Him and
John C. Reilly.
C. Reilly. You know, I went into that with I couldn't wait to see that because I thought, man, that's going to be hilarious between those two, and it was just garbage. The politics and stuff in it were kind of garbage. It just ruined it. Yeah. And it got to, and there was one funny scene in it. That's a scene where he's like, have you guys seen it?
No, I was curious.
Oh, okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, there's one funny scene.
Haven't checked it out.
Where it's like he's like Sherlock Holmes is drunk, and he's like, you know how he's always calculating stuff, and like in the movie, they always show him doing these scenes where he's like trying to figure out, he's like doing his art of deduction skills, but you can see it physically on the screen. It comes up and you can see his thought process on the screen, like a hazy thought process. Well, he's drunk in one scene and he's going through his thought process to try to piss in the alley somewhere, and he ends up just pissing himself. It all goes wrong and he pisses himself, and that was funny, but the rest of it breaks into like this. It gets to a point on it, but it gets to a point a little bit later where it breaks into like a song and dance, and then when that came on, I got up and left. I was like, it was, the rest of it was not funny. It just
I'm
a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, and yeah.
I like the ones that Robert Downey Jr. did. Those weren't bad, though. You know, those were more serious, of course, but those seem to be pretty good movies. You know, they only did 2 of them.
Well, I love Sherlock Holmes.
I've never seen a Sherlock Holmes movie my entire life.
Oh, really?
Never once.
Yeah,
I've never seen one.
This isn't a movie. Well, this might be one of the movies, but this is a TV show.
Frozen time. Yeah, that's like I think I showed it on a video. I might not released it yet, but I got some of the older Sherlock Holmes. It's like a whole collection that's got Basil Rathbone and stuff. Yeah. So those are pretty good, for the the older ones and stuff. Oh yeah, that's the one I got. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy them. I just never. I mean, I obviously know that they exist. I obviously know they're around. I know there's all kinds of variations over the years with TV shows and movies and all that stuff, and miniseries. I mean, intellectually I know it's out there, but this never sat down and watched, any of it to see if I would like it or not. I'm sure I would, but just never sat down and watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it's your basic, basic mystery, mystery
Right.
movies,
I don't recommend you guys going and watching it's like one of my first attempts at doing a review on something that's terrible. I don't suggest you go and watching it, but it's my review of They Might Be Giants. I need to redo it and give it some justice, but I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. That's George C. Scott doing. It's a modern tale. It's a Sherlock Holmes tale, but it's like a modern telling. But it's a weird twist on the telling. Like, simply George C. Scott, like a retired lawyer, like a really brilliant lawyer, but he's suffering from some kind of mental illness where I guess it's some kind of dementia or something, but he's basically lost his memory, but he thinks he's Sherlock Holmes now. I can't remember what's exactly called, but he's like as sharp as the real Sherlock Holmes, but he's living like this Sherlock Holmes fantasy. And like his doctor comes into the woman that they've assigned to treat him, and her name just so happens to be Watson. And so he ends up trying to solve cases with him and with her. It's a very interesting movie. It's made in like 1970, I believe, New York, and it's excellent.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never seen it though.
And that's where the band They Might Be Giants got their name from. So,
yeah, I was going to say,
I was going to say, because I love that band, but I was confused when you said a movie. I'm like, hold on, wait, what? So yeah, because it's a ska band, right? They Might Be Giants.
Yeah, they're kind of like an alternative
they're pop
band.
They're like a Beatle pop, Beatle based pop, I think.
Okay.
Sort of.
Who the hell am I thinking of then?
Nerd. Well, they're better. I would call them nerd rock. They're nerd rock.
Yeah. Kind of nerdy.
Like Weezer.
No.
Nah, maybe not as edgy as them, but
yeah, probably they're not as edgy, but they're probably more brilliant than Weezer.
Yeah, they're a little more.
Bit. Yeah.
Cool. I love Weezer, by the way. Completely unrelated to what we're talking about. I love Weezer.
Well, yeah, I do too.
I don't care if we get off talking about music. Yeah. Well, if you going back to some of that or talk about things in our childhood, that was something that I listened to a lot, but I probably shouldn't have been. But I would go buy the tapes. Around where I lived at, a lot of times they'd sell you this stuff, even if you were 7 years old. They'd sell you stuff with parental elliptic lyrics, stickers on them, and they would. And so I remember listening to like Guns N' Roses, like way before I understood what they were talking about, or even know what Mr. Brownstone they were talking about in that song, and like Beastie Boys had their first album, License to Ill, like way before like my friends. I remember my friends borrowing that tape several years later so they could get into it. But I remember that album and like Motley Crue and listening to them and Poison. Yeah, Poison. I remember their front cover being controversial.
Oh yeah,
because Open Up and Say Ah. I guess that's their second album.
Yeah, I was excited back in the day because I had the cassette of that with the band artwork.
Yeah, I didn't. I had a friend that had it, but I didn't. But I think they re-released it recently on vinyl, and it's got like the whole artwork with the tongue sticking out and all that stuff.
Oh, really?
It's just weird, what was raunchy then or racy or controversial, and it's like it's not even anything you would.
Well, the inside of the Guns N' Roses, their first Appetite for Destruction, I think they censored, like they re-released the inner tape art. Remember the art that came with the tape, or it was inside the album vinyl record as well, or the CD, but it had that the scene of the woman sitting against that picket fence. Well, it was
With
like
the robot.
Yeah,
It was like a
supposed to be
robot.
it's called Rape by a Robot.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but yeah, it was original artwork, but yeah, it was controversial.
Yeah. I love, yeah, you're not going to see that too much nowadays. Well, first of all, they don't buy, you barely find physical CDs, media anymore, anyways, like that. Everything's online.
Yeah, my local Walmart's got like maybe half of a kind of a display wall. That's about it. They've kind of cut back from like having like 3 aisles of it or whatever, 2 aisles or something of it. And they got this little, and it's not even filled up half the time. When Tuesdays used to be media day. Walmart's cutting back on stuff and.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's funny because like I don't do like a lot of like download like albums onto my phone or songs or buy them on Amazon or Apple or whatever and all that kind of stuff. I still have a CD player in my car, and I know that like the next time I get an upgrade on the car, it probably won't have a CD player anymore. Mm-hmm. So like I'm always thinking like I don't know what I'm gonna do because I don't want to. I have to have physical media. Like I just do not like. So the only thing I can think of is like route my phone through like YouTube or whatever, so that way I can listen to music and I can still listen to it in my car, I guess. But I'm like because I love the idea of putting a CD into the CD player, pushing it in, and listening to the music. Like almost any given time I'm listening right now. For the last month or two, I've been listening to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood soundtrack, and I just I love that soundtrack because it has like commercials from '69 in Los Angeles, spliced in, which we all know Quentin Tarantino's notorious for stuff like that, anyways. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he splices in between the music. And I mean, dude, I love it. I mean, it's a perfect in the summertime. Have your, I have a sunroof in my car. Have the sunroof down at night. Listen to that music. Driving through at night. It's just so like chill out, relaxing. I really dig it.
Yeah,
I like the Death Proof soundtrack as well for that reason.
Yeah, I've been trying to rewatch that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for a while now. I just haven't been able to rewatch it. But it's such a great movie.
Did you like it, John?
It's kind of it's excellent. That's the weird thing about me. I take excellent care of my DVDs, but all my CDs and stuff, I've never took care of them. So that's why I prefer Spotify. I love Spotify. Sure. The reason I like Spotify is because not for the instant gratification of being able to listen to music, but I can search through other bands because I like to find other bands that sound like other bands, find different connections through other bands, and you can just go down a rabbit hole of finding bands sort of that band that you like, and you can just find so many things. And there's so many, like in the indie realm and stuff, there's so many bands out there on there, and it's just I've found so much stuff on there, and it's so much easier. You don't have to risk spending $20 on some a band that you don't know or an album you don't know much about to end up getting like maybe one song that you like or off an album.
I'll buy like my favorite band's CD nowadays, but a lot of times I'll listen to most stuff on Spotify though. You know what I mean? So I mean I still have a CD collection, but it's certain stuff, I got a bunch, but like I have like all, like if Jimi Hendrix puts out a new thing or something, I'll go out and get the new Jimi Hendrix, re-release or something, and something like that, Led Zeppelin or something, but yeah,
I've got a bunch of vinyl, but none of it's here. It's all boxed up in storage. I don't have a listening station for vinyl anymore. I used to collect it about 20 years ago. But
I got a very small.
As long as I can, if I lost, somehow we, lost everything. As long as I could have like the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, and the Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle, and a couple other albums, I'd be all right. I'm a big Beach Boys fan.
And then I love the Beach Boys, by the way. That's probably like my go-to 60s group. You know, 60s, 70s, I guess 70s too, but really 60s.
Have
like,
you ever listened
Yeah.
to Zombies? Ever heard of the Zombies before?
I love the Zombies
Odyssey,
too.
maybe Odyssey and
Yeah.
Oracle.
Yeah.
The thing about Odyssey and Oracle might be one of the best albums of the 60s as far as that genre goes, as far as the psychedelic pop genre, what I would consider psychedelic pop. It's just haunting and beautiful. It maybe more so than like Pet Sounds or some of the stuff that was on would have been on Smile if it had actually been finished back in the day. But
Yeah, or something like Sgt.
Smile's
Pepper's.
brilliant. Yeah.
I like the Beatles too, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, I don't know how you all were. I mean, again, I know we all have very similar, like, upbringings around the same time, but, like, in the 90s, and again, like, kind of like we've been talking about, like, as soon as I was able to drive, I was driving to Louisville, Kentucky, and they had a bunch of record shops. So I would go over to Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and hit up all the record shops. I was big in like Ear Ecstasy, Ground Zero, Electric Ladyland, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if those things are familiar to you all, but
yeah, Ear Ecstasy,
yeah, I would pretty much be living there. I mean, there's like Blue Moon Records, there's all kinds of stuff. Anyways, I'd go there and get records, and I was really big into hardcore straight edge music. I don't know if that's something you all know what that is. But I was like, hardcore straight edge was like a thing in the 90s, and I guess technically it's still a thing. But anyways, I loved like local and national acts of music, but almost everything was in record vinyl. So I was just buying up so much vinyl, and that opened up, like you were saying, like opened up a whole new world because they had all those listening stations. It was their version of Spotify, and you would find music that you liked. And I mean, I had this like back in the 90s. I don't know if you all, but they used to have those boxes that look like comic book boxes, but for records. And I would just have boxes filled with 7 inches and 12-inch, records of all kinds of like groups and stuff like that. And I mean, I kind of like what you were saying, John. Like, I need to get like an area in my house where I can like put up a record player. I don't need anything fancy, just a regular record player, and just listen to my records. I think they're all at my parents' house still, because I don't think I got rid of them. I hope I sure did, because a lot of them were super rare. They had different colors. They had different color vinyl. There was like limited edition printings or presses or whatever. And I would love some of that. But anyways, who knows?
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I have some headphones and stuff. Just to
sit back and relax.
I complained about this last week about it, but I ended up getting it anyways. It was that.
Oh yeah, the final countdown.
How was it? You said it was good, right?
I liked the movie. No, yeah, I liked the movie. I wouldn't have paid what I paid for it if I didn't like it. Yeah, I would have bought it just without seeing it. Yeah, I mean, but it was a ridiculous price for what you got.
You said it was $40, right? Or close
it's like
to
$47. It was almost $50.
I would go sell some sperm.
It's not really worth it, but I really wanted it because I didn't own it in physical media and all that, but it's a good movie though. I can't. The whole concept's really cool.
Yeah, I can't say I remember ever seeing that. I've heard of it for sure, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's really.
I just like the song from Europe.
Final countdown.
Yeah, it's got a good cast. Martin Sheen and why am I forgetting people? Martin Sheen and
seems like Charlton Heston's in it or something. Is that right?
Kirk Douglas. I'm sorry, Kirk Douglas and Charlton Heston. Yeah. Okay. Those are the main two. It's a sci-fi movie essentially, and what it is they're on an aircraft carrier. They're out on a maneuver, and they get swept up into this vortex, some kind of phenomenon, like some kind of Bermuda Triangle like phenomenon happens, and they get transported back to December 7th, 1943, 1940. It was
41. Yeah.
Was that 41? Yeah, they get like on the brink of the day that now they get transported back to the 6th, the day before before Pearl Harbor. Excuse me, I'm getting Pearl Harbor. And they basically had the dilemma: do we intervene, or because they in the movie, I don't think this was a real story, but there's like a senator out on his private yacht, and they basically. The Japanese are going to attack the yacht because he potentially had a radio to radio ahead if they were going to. So they basically killed everybody on this private yacht, and they were going to. But the jet fighters, they dispatched the jet fighters, and they end up was no dogfight with the Zeros, but it was nothing. But they end up engaging the Zeros and shooting them both down and saving 2 of the people. So they saved this senator. So they essentially saved history. They changed history essentially. So, but they had the dilemma: do we have enough firepower on this, even with the aircraft carrier, to potentially take on the 1940s Japanese military from one aircraft carrier because of modern technology, and I'll leave it there. So you guys need to watch it. It's a cool. I pretty much told you everything, but it sounds
interesting. Yeah, I have to find it. I don't know if I'll get the 4K version just yet, but I might try to see if I can find that.
Hopefully
because that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
so I got 2 good recommendations this week. I gotta look for. I gotta look for Explorers and Final Countdown.
Yeah,
I'm not. It's probably just the regular version. I don't know if I'd actually owned it on Blu-ray, I wouldn't have bought that 4K if I'd had the old version of it. But I didn't own any version of it, so I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna buy it and bite the bullet and buy it.
Yeah. Yeah,
but it was a good look. It was a good transfer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even that well known out there. I don't think there's a bunch of copies of it been released over the years. I think it's kind of rare. It's rare-ish.
Yeah, so. It's one of those ones I remember the cover back in the day. It looked familiar, but I'd never seen it. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely want to check it out. I mean, it's the subject matter. I'm definitely intrigued. It's science fiction, but with World War II and Japan and all that, with all the history I have with Japan. So I'm definitely intrigued to go check it out. So it's on my radar now.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah,
guys,
it's definitely worth the watch.
My phone's at like 5% again, so I'm probably I don't want to blank out on you all like the last time, but.
Right.
Well, we've been about 2 hours. Me and you have been about 2 hours. I know Jason hadn't been on here. I apologize, Jason. I may have called you Scott at one time. For some reason, I had in my head your name was Scott for some reason. I don't know why I got that in my head, but I may have called you that. I don't know why.
It's fine, dude. It's fine.
You can be AKA Scott.
Yeah, well, I'll just go by Scott. Whenever you're talking to me, I'll just be like, just say, hey, Scott. And I'll be like, hey, what's up? So it's fine. So maybe you know something I don't know about my heritage. Maybe you're in the know. So
I don't know.
But yeah, man, thanks for putting this on, John. I appreciate it, dude. I had fun.
Yeah.
Sorry it took me a little bit of time to get on here, but kind of like what Mike was saying, my phone's about ready to die too. I had enough juice just to hop on for a few minutes, but now we've been on here for an hour at least. So we'll do it again maybe next week or something.
Yeah.
We had any audience really. We didn't really have much of an audience on my channel, but we'll try to build it up. Mid-Level Media jumped in here. That was cool for a second. He's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to host it if you want me to. If not, we'll just do we'll switch it around. So whatever, no big deal.
Okay.
There was I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for everybody coming out.
All right, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, dude.
Yeah. See you guys.